Hello, in this lecture we will try to set up the project. So we will set up the controller for the pages and then we will set up the actual pages. We'll also do something to the index page, our main page, which will hold the navigation as well as the content pages. Now to begin with, we have a project, a simple default template project, which is MVC, Model View Controller project. It's important that you choose this one or you choose the API template, because you will need to use that simple basic JavaScript call to the backend. So you need to have that ability and you need to have the controllers. It will be easier to control everything that way, especially the views. Now, here we have the controllers folder, which will contain one controller, and the models. The models we will leave out this time. We won't be using them. And as far as models are concerned, you can use models and models folder, but I would actually suggest simply using a class library, so something completely different, and simply hold those objects where it is appropriate to hold them. If you have authentication class library, put in the user object there. And then if you have payment class library, put the payment details object there. So kind of separate them, because there's really no sense to hold them in this basic plain models folder. So we will leave that. We won't delete that. We won't delete anything. We will just leave all those for now. And we'll move to the views. And in the views we also have this shared layout. So you would delete normally, but we won't be deleting anything. We won't be deleting, just so you see what's happening here, so that you can follow what was originally. We won't be deleting much. And actually we will go to the home, and we will get right away to the index, just like that. And we will delete all that there is in the index currently. So there's not a lot here. So we delete this. We don't need the letter. We delete this. We can leave the title actually. We can leave the title. We call it main. Let's call it. Or you could delete the title, doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter at all. But what we want to do, we want to do layout null. Again, you could simply remove all those imports and starts and shared stuff, but we will just do nulls in this case, so that we don't need to delete anything that is originally there. So we have our main index, and in the next lecture we will be creating the actual navigation there. But for now, we will just create the views, and we will create the controller for the views. So to start with, let's do a folder for the views. Do a little folder for the views. So let's go here in the views. It doesn't have to be in the views, but it's preferred to be in the views. Let's do add, and then new folder rather, first of all, and let's call it simply test pages. Just like that. We have our test pages, and then we will create a controller which will be called test pages for obvious reasons. We won't need to actually put in the path for the view this way. So let's do web and controller, simple basic controller. Delete all that. Let's delete it. We don't need the one, and we do need to call it simply test pages. Test pages, the same exact name as we have for the folder. Okay, so it's test pages folder and test pages controller, and let's click on add, and we'll have our little controller up and running and ready to go. So let's do our little actions, here. So first one will be, say, page one, and then we'll create the pages accordingly, the views. So let's copy this, and we will change one of those actually. Let's do this like that and like that. So let's do now 4 and 3 and 2. Now one of these, let's say 2, let's change to task so that we can await, and you'll see why we need to await for something. Let's do public async, just like that, and then we will do task delay, and let's do, say, 4,000. That's 4 seconds. And the reason we are going to delay it is because we will want to create this little spinner for loading. So load icon, or whatever you want to call that. And that's why we are delaying, so that we can actually see that icon in action. Because obviously it's going to be quite quick. We're just going to load a little paragraph in most cases, so we won't be able to properly see that. But with this one, we will be able to see that for 4 seconds. Okay, so let's save that, and we have all those actions. Now all we need to do is create the pages. So let's go to the pages, and let's click new item in the test pages folder, that is, and let's do razor view. Just like that. Let's do page one, add, and then let's add the pages first, and then we will put some content in the pages. So let's do page 2, and then we will have page 3 now. Page 3. Okay, so let's do page 3, and finally page 4. So we will just create some little content there, just to see which page is which page. Okay, so let's do page 4 now. And now the first one, let's remove the comment. And let's do layout equals null. Obviously we won't need any layout because we do have a single page app, so the layout stays as we create in the index. So now let's just do another one paragraph. Let's do, let's say, page 1. The page 1 display, just in case we have a little margin and we don't see something. And let's copy all that. Let's do the same in page 2, and the same in page 3, and the same in page 4. And now let's change the number. Page 1, so that's page 4, and that's page 3, and that's page 2. And that's it. We have our pages ready, and we have our controller ready as well. Now remember, these are views, not pages, so that's kind of important to remember. I am saying pages, but we could call it content, we could call it view, whichever word you prefer. The result will be the same. Okay, so let's close all that. And so now we have those actions ready, and then we have the pages ready. So in the next lecture, what we are going to do, we're going to do the layout for the whole thing. We will lay it out. And then we will create the navigation, so initial navigation, and then also we will add the loading, and then we will go and do, or rather put in this little piece of code which will prevent some default navigation. So that's going to be very interesting, and with that we will conclude this lecture.